everybody, and welcome to Final Play Sports Wrap. I'm your host, Pete Lubar, and today we're talking Big 12 football, doing our previews way too early. Today we're covering Oklahoma State Cowboys, and to say that they had a disappointing season last year would be an understatement. The worst in Mike Gundy's 20-year illustrious career. Oklahoma State went 3-9 overall, 0-9 in the Big 12. Completely unexpected. I think most people would have thought going into the season that Oklahoma State would be competing for Big 12 titles, as they have for so many years. But last year was an anomaly. And the question is, going into 2025, is this an anomaly, or will we see more of the same this year? So Cowboys were 80th in total offense with 374 yards per game. Relatively good at passing, 267 yards in their spread offense, 30th in the nation. However, from a running standpoint, they got almost nothing from the ground game, 105 yards a game, one of the worst in the nation. And so, as you might expect, when you have such a horrible season, you have turnover, and they have 41 new players transferring into the program, which means at least that many went out. And so they're basically starting over. And the question I always have when you start over like that is, can the pieces all gel together in time to make a cohesive team, particularly when you have games against Oregon in your second game of the season? Are you going to get blown out like you did at Colorado last year, or are you going to be good? And so for the positive news is, for many of the players coming in, they brought in quite a few transfers, juniors, seniors, graduate transfers. So they have a lot of experience, but whether they can gel together is to be determined. Right away, from a quarterback standpoint, you've got a battle. You've got Zane Flores, who has been with the program for 2 years but hasn't thrown a pass. And you got Haas Haney, who is transferring in from TCU. He was a true freshman last year at TCU. He played in a few games. He rushed the ball 15 times for 65 yards, didn't throw a pass. So you've got two guys competing for the quarterback position who haven't thrown a pass yet in D1. And so we'll see what happens with that. From a running back standpoint, you lost your best running back, Alec Gordon. You've got Rodney Fields Jr. coming back. He appeared in 4 games last year. Looked like he was a really good back, 21 carries for 99 yards and a touchdown. But he redshirted. And so he's going to play for sure, I think, this year, maybe start. And then you brought in a really talented transfer from Georgia State, Freddie Brock fourth, and he played 458 snaps the last 2 years, so a lot of experience. And during that time, he rushed for 1,126 yards and 9 touchdowns. And he's a receiver as well. He picked up 181 yards and a score on 23 receptions. So wouldn't be surprised if Freddie starts, but you're certainly going to see Rodney Fields Jr. on the field as well. From a receiver standpoint, you brought in Christian Fitzpatrick from Marshall. He had 722 yards of receiving last year at Marshall, and in his career he has 56 receptions for 848 yards and 7 touchdowns. You've got Dwayne Lofton back. He only played in 4 games for Oklahoma State and played in 83 snaps. He had 6 receptions for 140 yards. So he could preserve his senior season. And then you got Gavin Freeman back as well, who redshirted last year. He hauled in 6 catches for 45 yards. So you're a little bit inexperienced sort of with those two guys. But you brought in a kid from Nebraska named Jalen Lloyd. He's a big play threat. He's got 19 receptions for 492 yards and 3 TDs. And then you brought in a Purdue kid named Shamar Rigby, who played a lot, 11 receptions, 113 yards, 1 rush. So you're kind of hoping he develops as well. But you should have some confidence in that they've got some talent at that side of the ball. The offensive line's pretty much rebuilt. So you got a Virginia Tech transfer coming in, Bob Schick. He started 23 games the last 2 seasons. So he plays at either guard position. You got Louis Canepa, who was at New Mexico State last year. He started 14 games and played all but 44 of 1,100 snaps last 2 seasons. So he could play right guard and right tackle. You've got a Tulsa transfer, Kason Carpenter, who started 11 games, and then you've got a kid from Weber State, Lavaca, and I didn't know I'm going to get this wrong, but Tao Keaho. He started 9 games for Weber State, and he needs to prove that he can play at the FBS level. So, you've got 4 or 5 guys that are brand new on the offensive line. All of them have some experience. Question is, are they used to playing with each other? And it's hard to say when they have 3-4 weeks in spring and another 4 weeks in fall to get ready. My guess is it may take them a little bit of time to gel. On the defensive side of the ball, Oklahoma State was dreadful. There's no other way to describe it. They were 132nd in total defense, giving up over 500 yards per game. There's 134 teams in D1, so 132nd in defenses pretty much is the bottom of the barrel as you can get. And they gave up 405 yards per game passing. So, once again, a lot of changes on that side. Sort of the good news, bad news. You got Cam Smith coming back as a cornerback. And, he's a pretty good player. He recorded 83 tackles and gave up 62.4% of the 117 targets thrown against him, while recording double-digit pass breaks-ups and a couple of interceptions. So probably your best cornerback is coming back. And then you brought in UCLA transfer Jalen Davies. He was a pretty good player, 108 tackles during his career, allowing 67.3% of 147 targets against him. He has 4 career interceptions, 15 pass breakups, and has played in 1,500 snaps. So you got another kid coming in with good experience. And then from a linebacker standpoint, you got Akron's Brian McCoy Jr. coming in, and he was 8th in FBS, averaging 10 tackles per game in 24, and has 18 career starts. So good player at a smaller school. And then you brought in a kid from Western Kentucky, Darius Thomas, and he had 63 tackles last year, 6.5 for loss, 4 sacks, started 13 games at Western Kentucky. You brought in a kid from Saginaw Valley State, Brandon Rawls. He's a D2 transfer with 153 career tackles. And he's got 24 of those for losses and 4.5 sacks. And now he has to prove that he can do it against Big 12 competition. That feels like a huge jump to me. And then you've got some guys that are coming in. You got a Malik Charles from West Georgia, who was pretty good in fall. He recorded 37 tackles at the FCS level, 11 for losses. And you got a transfer from Colorado, Tage McCoy, who has 4 sacks, 11 hurries, 3 hits, 24 tackles, and 197 career snaps. And you got another junior college transfer, Shandavian Bradley, who recorded 23 tackles. So linebacker feels like you got some guys who've played, but once again, don't necessarily feel like guys that have done it at a high level like you'd need in the Big 12. And so there's a question mark there for sure. From a defensive line standpoint, you brought in a kid from UTEP who was a 4-star high school kid, Kyron Duhan. He played at UTEP and recorded 7 of his sacks last season during the final 7 games. He's a sophomore. He finished his first season with 43 tackles and could be the kid with one of the highest ceilings. He transferred in late spring, so relatively new to the program. And he'll be competing with Deshaun Brown. Brown has all-time lead of 34 hurries, 11 hits, 1.5 sacks. And Jaleel Johnson is back. Johnson has 16 hurries, 5 hits, and 3 sacks. Johnson has more tackles, 33 to 32. So defensive line may be one of the strengths of the Cowboys this year. We'll have to see. So you've also got some defensive tackles that are coming back, a lot of experience. Michael Diatta is transferring in from Virginia, and he has 5 tackles for loss and 2.5 sacks. And then you've got a couple of guys returning. Eamon Oates is returning. He kind of peaked last season, recording 11 of his 25 tackles in the final 4 games. And so he's back. And so that's sort of where the offensive or the defensive line is. Probably the strength of the program this year. You've got the transfers I mentioned. 41 transfers came in, 35th overall. Couple of names of note. You brought in a kid named Zaquan Peterson. He's a safety. He's a 4-star kid out of high school. He played at Miami last year. You've got DeAndre Boykins, also a safety, played at University of North Carolina last year as a 4-star kid. And then you got Sam Jackson, the 5th, who's a receiver coming over from Auburn. Little used last year, but got some talent and may help that receiver room. And then I mentioned a bunch of other guys, so I don't need to cover all those again. From recruiting, the class was 55th overall, not too bad. 22 enrollees. The most notable of those was Carleon Young. He's a 4-star linebacker from Oklahoma City, and he joins the Cowboys this year. The rest are all 3-stars, so pretty good recruiting class. Most of those will redshirt. There may be a breakthrough candidate here or there, but most will redshirt and grow them up and coach them up. So that's it. Schedule is interesting. It doesn't start too bad. You start with UT Martin, a game probably the Cowboys will win. And then you go to Oregon, who will be ranked in the top 10 and probably will not win that game. And then you got a game versus Tulsa, which may be uber competitive. I haven't looked into Tulsa at all yet, but the way the Cowboys played last year and the fact that they'll be relatively inexperienced may make that a very interesting game. And then you sort of get into the beef of the schedule. You host Baylor. You'll probably Baylor's going to be one of the best teams in the conference, so that'll be a game to measure yourself against. Then you go to at Arizona, which will also be a game against to measure yourself. And then you got Houston at home and Cincinnati at home, and those are 2 games that, quite frankly, Oklahoma State needs to win if they're going to have any kind of decent season, because they follow with sort of a killer schedule. They got at Texas Tech, at Kansas, and then they get Kansas State at home. So you've got two of the best probably 5 teams in the conference coming in Texas Tech and Kansas State, and then you get a breather against UCF, and then you go play Iowa State. So you're the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. 4 of those games are going to be very tough, challenging games for the Cowboys to win. So, if you kind of forecast what's going on, you're probably 2-1 in non-conference, and then maybe 3-6 or 4-5 in conference. So it's kind of more of the same this year. I think partly because there's so many transfers. But hopefully that'll be the kids bringing in are better than the kids that went away. So that's kind of where we are. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please subscribe to my YouTube page. It doesn't cost you anything, but it sure helps me out. And other than that, I hope you have a great day. Bye, everyone.